If you've got an older dog that you want to train, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy podcast. I'm Josh. I'm one of the founders here at Cornerstone, and I'm host for the Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy podcast. This episode I'm extremely excited about because it really tackles one of the big problems. One of the biggest questions that I think people have overall is, will my dog turn out? That's a big question we have in the back of our minds. But I think if anybody has that question, for a puppy owner, there's still hope, right? Because nothing's happened yet. You see all this vision and ideas of where you're going to go. But then what about for people that have an older dog? Maybe you had a puppy at one time. Maybe you started good. But then things went awry. Maybe you never started. You just had a puppy and you didn't even know you were going to be into hunting. And then all of a sudden one day you have fallen in love with hunting. And now you've got this puppy, really a dog without training. And you're looking at it thinking, man, did I mess up? Did I ruin this dog? So that's what this podcast is about. What about an older dog? Where should you begin training with an older dog? Can you even begin training with an older dog? So first things first, let's bust a myth. I love busting myths. And the myth out there is that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And the defined word for old really depends on, I guess, who you're asking. And I suppose it depends on the level of dog. There may be a point where there's diminishing returns on, how much time and effort you're going to put in. But if you've got a 2 or a 3 year old dog, they still have their whole life ahead of them, right? If you've got a 2 or 3 year old dog without any training, is it too late to train? Absolutely not. You can start training right away and start seeing results. So the big question is, can you train an older dog? Is it too late? No, it's not too late. You can 100% do that. So now that we've busted that myth, the big question comes next. Where do I begin? Where do I start training? And this is where I see a lot of confusion out there for people asking questions like, where do I begin? Some are like, my dog's got some of these skills and some of the skills it doesn't have. Let's just kind of lay the groundwork and we'll start from there. And then that'll help you figure out where you're at with your dog and we can go from there. So if your dog has 0 training, that makes it extremely easy. Where do you begin? From the very beginning. Now, odds are, depending on what kind of outcome you're looking for, if you have this desire now to train your dog, and maybe you did some obedience and stuff with that and all that went good. Now you're probably asking the question, okay, should I pick up in gun dog skills? Should I do any obedience, remedial work? Those are the type of questions you're probably asking yourself, and that's a good question to be asking. I would say absolutely we want to start probably from the beginning, and it depends on how much training you did. If you've followed a structured program and a structured plan and you implemented the plan, you didn't skip around, you actually implemented it, then odds are your dog has a lot of the training that it needs. So I would consider doing a tune-up session first. And in that tune-up session, I'm just going to go back through and see where my dog stands. Okay, is my dog getting comfortable with all those things, or is it not? Once you've done that, take a couple of weeks, tune your dog back up. And if you and your dog are starting to progress and you have the consistent response you're looking for, then you're on the right track. That's what we're looking for. So just for clarity's sake, what we're talking about is we're not talking about starting a dog based on age. We're talking about based on skill level, because here's the thing. When you're training a retriever, it's like you're building a house. You've got to build the foundation and you've got to build all the pieces and components together. If the wood and lumber has been sitting out in the area right there where you're going to build the house for 2 years and nothing's happened, you don't start trying to frame it up if you have no foundation. You've got to get the foundation. Or if the foundation's broken, you've got to fix the foundation. If you don't, then you're just going to have a weak house that's not going to withstand the pressures of a great hunting dog. And let me just add one more term of clarification here. Anytime I'm talking to retriever owners, or I'm talking to you, I'm talking to people that want to have the best dog they can have, because that's who we're here to serve. We're here to help people have the best dog that they can have, a dog that they're proud to hunt with. That's what we do at Cornerstone. So just know that that is my lens. I'm not talking about a dog that can just go out and do some retrieves. Most dogs have enough natural ability that if you did a little bit of work, you could get that. But we're talking about that higher standard. So I just want to throw that clarification piece in there. But now you're asking the right questions. But maybe there's still some lack of uncertainty. Well, let's just break training down super simple. Training is going to be broken down in a few different components. You've got your foundation, which we just talked about. It's extremely important. That's going to include all the obedience. You want to have a dog that listens. And the standard at which you train, it's not just does your dog heel. if we're training to that higher standard, your dog needs to be able to heal basically in any circumstance. It needs to be what we call generalized. I'll link up a blog in the podcast notes and the notes on YouTube called The 4 Stages of Learning. You can go check that out. I believe we even have an episode on that. So if we do, I'll probably link that up as well. But that's just one of those things that you can really kind of sink your teeth in and realize, wow, that's the level of training that we're going for. And that's going to get us to where we want to go. Get the foundation right. That's phase 1. Phase 2, we call it the fetch phase. That's where you want to develop a good, solid fetch, hold, and release, or basically create a professional retrieve. We're not looking for dogs that drop birds. We're not looking for dogs that drop bumpers. It's okay if you have a dog that does that, but it's not okay for it to stay there, right? We want to help the dog become all that it can be. So we want to get through that phase. And then you've got the basic gun dog phase. Most people, if you're starting over with a 2-year-old dog, you're not even going to be starting in the fetch phase. Odds are you're starting somewhere in the foundations phase. And to tell you the truth, here's what would be the best course of action. Unless you follow that structured plan, it's really best just to start over. Start from ground zero. Pretend like your dog doesn't know nothing, because if you miss something and you don't know it, you will probably not recognize it until much later in the training or even when you're hunting. And so if you don't recognize it until then, you're running into some challenges that you're like, then that's 2 mistakes. Not only did you start with an older dog and then you're restarting, you're having to go back and fix issues again. So if you don't want to have that problem, then it's probably best to start from ground zero. Now, if you still have questions, like I don't know exactly where to start, reach out to our team if you're considering Cornerstone, and we will take the time to talk through where your dog fits into the course, how we can help you and all that. All you got to do is hit the contact us, and then someone will take care of you from there, and you'll be well taken care of. But just for general purposes, if you're listening to this podcast, starting over is one of the best course of actions. Why? Because you can make sure that everything is thorough. You can make sure you don't miss anything, because dog training is not age-based. It is skill-based. It is skill-based. And skill-based means it's not just the skills they have, but it's the level at which each skill is trained. And it's the number of reps that you've gotten, and what stage of learning is your dog at. Is it acquiring a skill? Is it fluent? Is it generalized on a skill? Or are you maintaining skills? Once you start filtering dog training through that, you can now get precise, consistent results with your dog. And that's what we're looking for. Who doesn't want precise, consistent results that happen anywhere, anytime? I don't know, but that's what you're looking for. So let me give you a framework that you can view all this through, or that you can kind of start thinking on this whole journey of starting with an older dog, because I think this framework, it's a 3-part simple framework. I think it's going to really help shape the way you think about this. I think it's going to help you a ton. Step number 1 is resetting your expectations. It all starts with you. You're the decision maker here. And if you reset your expectations, you're going to be great. And we've kind of already talked about this, but in a short, simple, easy to understand way, instead of viewing this as we're going to fix our dog or fix the problems, or we're going to fix the problem we created, don't view it that way. This is not a problem. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to go from a 2 or 3, maybe a 4-year-old dog that doesn't have the training you're looking for, to a dog that is a dog you can hunt with and that you're proud of. So when you start changing your lens, you're resetting your expectations. And that also changes how you look at it. Instead of sitting here thinking, I've got a problem, I'm trying to patch the problem. We are not patching problems. We are building something. We're filling in areas that maybe are lacking, or maybe we're starting with a clean slate and we're starting over, but we're building a dream dog. We're building a dog that we're proud to hunt with. Step number 2, and this is where I'm going to bring in one of the Cornerstone core values, and that's prioritize relationship and connection. We want to prioritize the relationship with our dog and the connection with our dog. So when we restart training, again, we got to make sure we change our filter first, because one of the big mistakes people starting with older dogs make is they have this word in their mind, I'm behind. My gosh, I'm so behind. You start looking at everybody else. You start comparing your dog to everybody else. You think, man, what would this dog be if I would have started when it was a puppy? And these are the types of thoughts that are going through your mind. Therefore, it is shaping your experience. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter of what it would have been, because it's not. What matters is where you go from here. So we want to make sure that we've got that shaping in our mind, but we want to prioritize the relationship and connection. The reason I say that is I want to address those thoughts you're going to have, but also as you go through training, focus on connecting over correcting, right? When you put that first, when this becomes a gets to, not a has to, right? We're not here to force this dog. This dog is going to do it because it wants to, not because it has to, if you're training the right way, right? If you do everything right, your dog will train and work for you because it desires to, not because it's afraid of pressure, not because it's afraid of getting shocked by a collar, none of that. Your dog will work for you because it wants to, not because it has to. So that is step number 2, prioritize that relationship and connection. Now that's easier said than done, but if you'll just keep that one liner I just said, prioritize relationship and connection. That's one of our core values here. Think about that. Let that be the filter with everything that you do with your dog. And that's going to help you daily as you start to course correct. And just remember, when those thoughts come in the back of your mind, like, oh man, what would my dog be if I would have started from the beginning? I promise you, those thoughts are going to do no good. They're not going to get you to where you want to go with your dog. And then step number 3 to this framework is simple. Start with structure. Use structure as your guide to go through the training. You need a plan. You need a program. There's a lot of programs out there. There's a lot of options out there. Here's what you do need, though. You need something that's consistent. You need something that's easy to follow. And you need something that's step by step and that tells you exactly what to do and when. That's going to take a lot of the pressure off of you because let's get real. You're already starting to put pressure on yourself, feeling that you're behind, that you've let this dog down and all that. Look, that's not the case. But even though I know I'm telling you that's not the case, that doesn't change how you feel. So structure is going to help you navigate that by giving you something you can follow week by week and day by day to get you to where you want to go. And that's a simple 3-part framework. That's all you got to do. If you'll filter things through that lens, you can now get on the right track with your dog. So is it too late to train an older dog? Absolutely not. In fact, one of the beautiful things about working with an older dog is they're more mature. Especially a 2-year, 3-year-old dog, like that dog has already gone through the puppy phase. You've already dealt with a lot of the problems that can give you hiccups along the way in training. So you've got a dog that you can typically move pretty fast with the training through. The only challenges you're going to face are some bad habits that have already been created. And, there may be some other challenges along the way, but that would be one of the core challenges you'll face is undoing bad habits. Now, the secret to undoing bad habits is don't undo them. Don't even worry about the bad habits. Instead, start establishing new habits and reward for them. Why is that going to work for you? Because dogs only do things because they're rewarded or reinforced. So if you stop worrying about the undesired bad habits and you start focusing on rewarding habits that the dog is doing well, or you start rewarding behaviors that you like, and that becomes your focus. You become this hyper-focused person on, let me reward this, because you're looking for the thing to reward. We call that positive thinking, right? You're thinking about the right thing and you're rewarding that. And therefore that creates a cycle where you're looking for it and now your dog's looking for it in reverse. Like, okay, how can I please my handler? How can I do this so that I can get rewarded? And it's a beautiful thing. And that one concept, along with what we've already talked about, is going to help you take this older dog that hasn't had any training or that failed out of training or whatever it may be, and you can start fresh with a clean slate, build that structure, and get to where you need to be with your retriever. So is it too late to start with an older dog? No, you can absolutely start with an older dog and you can be on the right course and the right path to success.